Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 62nd episode of The Ruins of Warsaw. I'm Alexandra, and I'm the storyteller.
Hi, I'm Dolores, and I'm playing Janina of Clan Brujah.
Hi, my name is Faye, and I'm playing Beatrice Wozniak of Clan Malkavian.
And as always, we have partners acting as Keeper of the Elysium in the chat and taking care of all the tech. And we're very grateful for his help in running this stream. We will start, as always, with a quick recap just to remind everybody what has been happening because we had a bit of a longer break. We had to cancel last time on quite short notice, but we're happy to be back today, and thank you all so much for joining us for another episode of this story. So last time, following the quite intense events at the Elysium, where Stanisław Lubomirski, the then venture Primogen, contested praxis of the prince, but lost the challenge and subsequently stepped down as the Primogen. And when Bloodhunt was declared on Nastia, Janina's lover, having processed some of the emotions or pushed them to the back of her mind more likely, Janina decided to go check in on Dominik, the Nosferatu, who has been kidnapped by Zimishi, but was rescued by his lover, the now former sheriff, Lucian Topolski, with the help of our two kindred. Dominik seemed sad, distracted, and distressed, but Janina did her best to keep him company, be there for him, and console him, sharing in his sadness and trying to reassure him that things will get better and he will get over whatever happened, and trying to reassure him about his insecurities related to his appearance that now is changing back to his Nosferatu form, following him being transformed by the Zimishi who held him. Following that, Janina also discovered Nina at a Riador, crying somewhere over the fact that she has betrayed her lover, Isidore, now the newly appointed Brujah Primogen, whom she was instructed to sway to support Mr. Lubomirski's claim for praxis. But it seems that he saw through this and, first of all, didn't do what Clan Teriador wanted him to do, and secondly, became very angry with Nina. Nina consoled her as well and promised to speak to Isidore for her, which she did the following night, and sharing some of her own pain over being betrayed by Nastia and not being able to even speak to her, seemingly managed to convince him to at least talk to Nina. Meanwhile, Bea met with Antoni Bielecki, the sheriff, for their first date at the end of the night, and they found it difficult not to talk about work. Their thoughts and interactions kept just leaning into that area. And while they played cards like they used to do when Bea kept him company when he was recovering from his injuries, Antoni at first offered to try to get Bea out of some of the tasks she volunteered for. But she declined, saying that she prefers to help and contribute. Antoni also expressed a concern about Janina and her possible actions, given the bloodhunt declared on her lover, and asked Bea to keep an eye on her and tried to help her not do anything unreasonable, saying that he wouldn't want to have to deal with Janina in his official capacity. The following night, after speaking to Isidore, Janina also spoke to the former sheriff, Lucian Topolski, lover of Nosferatu Dominic, who sought her out and asked her there to have a conversation, during which he empathized with her situation with her lover, and told her not to give up on love and fight for it if she thinks it's worth it, but with a caveat that she should be sure that Nastya wants to return to her and wants to return from whatever she's doing. And he also offered Janina that she can consult with him on her plans that she makes in that respect. Following which, Janina, who throughout most of the night avoided speaking to Bea, not to have to confront her thoughts about Nastya, left Elysium to go feed and then visit the hospital where she has a lab to collect more vitae for Zoya, an injured member of her clan, and speak to Mr. Potocki, a former ghoul of a now deceased former Brujah Primogen, whom Janina decided to take care of. Meanwhile, Bea, being avoided by Janina, spoke to her Primogen, Incertum, who seems to only occasionally visit the Elysium, but was there for the last few nights, around the challenge to the Praxis. Primogen spoke to Bea about various things. First, about her sire, Felicia, not giving clear answers, but hinting that Felicia had her own road to follow, but said that Bea might still see her. Incertum also advised Bea to find her core that she sticks to in whatever she is, in whatever she decides to be, in whatever she remembers and forgets, so that she has something to hold on to that defines what is her. And they also taught her how to step out of her body and go to different places in an astral form. At the same time, warning that while it is a useful skill, sometimes it might be safer to go somewhere in a physical form, and also that while she's traveling like that, her body stays behind and is defenseless. And after conversation, the Primogen said goodbye and said they would be leaving Elysium for a while, and left. And I forgot, of course, to mention one thing, that while Bea was having her date with Antoni, they got interrupted by a delivery to the Prince of Warsaw, which was a black box containing a flower of amaranth, which Antoni and Bea didn't understand, but they went to consult with former Sheriff Lucian Topolski, who did, and told Antoni to speak about it to the prince immediately, which Antoni did. And I think now I covered all the most important points from the previous session, and we can pick up where we left off with Janina. Janina, you left Hotel Bristol successfully, avoiding longer, deeper conversation with your sister. It is a cloudy night. It is cold outside, as it has been for the last weeks, but it doesn't bother you really. It's not snowing right now, but it looks like it might. There is a howl of wind somewhere in the distance, and as you look up, you see the clouds are moving quite quickly in the sky. And you walk out into the streets of the ruined city. You see people going about their business, mostly wrapped up in quite a few layers of clothing. Some rushing to get to wherever they're staying as quickly as they can. Some quite the opposite, walking slowly, careful on slippery streets covered with snow and ice. You hear some conversations. You hear engines of cars somewhere in the distance. You hear the distant sound of horse hoofs somewhere a few streets over. And you are looking to feed, aren't you?
Yes.
So roll your wit and alertness with difficulty 7 to find someone that you could easily feed from.
2 successes.
How many?
2.
2. All right. So you start walking in a general direction of the hospital, wandering around a bit, trying to find a suitable victim. And you see a woman, young woman, running along the street. She's running towards you. She wipes her face as if she had been crying, and she doesn't really pay much attention. She just seems to want to get away from somewhere. She slips, but doesn't quite fall, and then continues going with this pained and angry expression on her face.
Is she coming like at my direction?
Yeah, she's coming towards you.
Okay, in that case, I will wait for her to be next to me as she passes me and has her back to me, and I will gently jump on her.
To gently jump on her, to catch her in time as well as she's passing. Roll your dex, celerity, and brawl. Difficulty 6.
Okay. Oh, okay. Wow, I had a lot of dice and a lot of successes.
Oh, that's good.
I have like 7 successes.
No issue at all. She got 1. So, as she passes you, you catch her in your arms, and quickly subdue her and bite into her neck, holding her safely in your arms. How much do you drink?
Only 2.
So you drink, which you know is safe for you to take. And as you finish and move your face away, you're still holding the woman who now is dazed and just hanging in your arms, but it's not a problem for you. You are very strong. What do you do? Do you leave her there?
I will gently lay her towards against a building and stroke her hair and leave.
And you leave her there.
I keep hearing some weird noises.
All right. Well, it doesn't get to us. I can't hear anything.
I don't know.
No, I don't.
I have no idea. Let's pretend it's nothing.
All right. Hopefully it's nothing. So you leave her there on the street and you move away. And now
Yes.
do you continue towards the hospital?
Yes.
So you continue towards the hospital. You rejoin some of the more frequented streets and then turn again into some of the other ones to get like less frequented ones to get there. You hear the conversations being left behind you. You are walking. How are you feeling? How are you moving? Are you paying attention to what's going on around you? Are you
I think
just lost in
right now
thoughts?
I am like paying attention just to be aware, and because I know Sabbat is everywhere, so I'm trying to be careful. But I choose like more like frequented streets, so I feel more safe. But I still pay attention to the people and what's going on around me.
Roll your perception and alertness with difficulty 8.
2 successes, 8 and 10.
8 and 10. So you don't see anything at first, but you do hear a dog barking, not quite in the distance. It's a similar sound that you have heard before. Few streets over, but along your way.
Okay. Similar I heard before. Do I remember where?
Yes, you did. You do remember when you were attacked. First,
Okay.
when you investigated a long time ago in Praga district, a place where there was a Sabbat party, and then in the accompanying a certain Sabbat Nosferatu.
Okay.
You're pretty sure it sounds the same. You know, it could be a different dog, but
is it in the same direction that I'm going?
Roughly, yeah.
Okay, then I continue to walk, but I start to be more aware and even more than I am now, and look carefully around.
So you look carefully around as you continue on your way towards the hospital. And roll your perception and awareness with difficulty 7.
Well, I have 0 awareness, so.
Well, your perception then.
Okay, well, I have no successes.
You have no successes.
I had 1, but also 1, so nothing.
That's an interesting. Okay, so what you see is nothing, and you.
Everything's fine.
Keep walking. And you pay attention, and because you pay attention, roll your wits and athletics with difficulty 8.
Okay. 4 successes, 2 9s and 2 10s.
4 successes. So you realize you're walking, you're paying attention, you don't see anything, and then in front of you, suddenly, you see just a shape at first of a metal rod coming towards you. You can react because you succeeded on that roll.
Okay, I will try to get out of the way.
Then roll your dex. You can add your celerity and your athletics.
What is the difficulty?
The difficulty is 6. It's going to be a contested roll.
Okay, in that case, 4 successes.
4 successes. So you do manage to move out of the way. and you're not hit by it. The last moment you just duck to the side. And in front of you, you suddenly see a woman, clearly a Nosferatu, with quite a bulky, curvy body, but the curves are not positioned exactly where the normal curves of the body are. They all kind of shifted as if there were lumps of fat underneath the skin that just shifted in strange ways, giving her this unnatural posture with bulges on her sides. And as she looks to you, you see this lumps of something slightly shifting as if they were oozing under her skin. The skin that looks kind of tired, a bit cracked, a bit wrinkled. And she smiles, revealing yellowish, partially chipped off teeth, and looks to you and says, "Not so fast, bitch." And I would like you to please roll your initiative, which is wit and alertness with difficulty 6.
Well, I have 0 successes.
You have 0 successes, so we will come to you in a moment. Meanwhile, there. You are returning to Elysium following the conversation with your Primogen. You get back there. But before you get in, when you get inside, you see Rahela standing, not quite in the doorway, but just outside, and she smiles at you, waiting for you, clearly.
Good evening.
She kind of looks to you a bit confused.
Sorry,
yeah.
again.
I wanted to ask how it went with the Primogen, if you don't mind.
It went well. We've been discussing how to step outside of oneself and be elsewhere. And tonight was my first successful attempt at doing so.
Oh, well, that sounds useful.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you ever need guidance in that, I mean, I could always use the practice. So
I might, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Although I think it might be some time before I can quite do that.
No worries. I've always just found that area most natural, I suppose.
How are you finding the Primogen?
Inscrutable.
I suppose it is the way to put it.
Yes. I'm never entirely sure what to make of them, and I think they like it that way. What about yourself?
There's something unnerving about them, but I don't think they mean either of us any harm.
Yes. If there's... They do seem to have our clan's interests at least in mind.
Well, yeah, I suppose they do. When it suits them, at least.
Yes. Indeed. They are interesting. I'll leave it at that, I think.
Yes. And she looks kind of like she's very deeply thinking over some things.
I leave a space in the conversation in case she wants to say anything.
She thinks for a moment, looks up to you. I don't know what sort of thing they told you, but they told me a lot of cryptic stuff. Well, not a lot maybe, but enough.
I, the player, am slightly struggling to remember exactly what we discussed
Right.
because it's been long enough ago. So
You discussed Felicia,
yes.
and Incertum said to give you more of a context that Felicia is beginning a journey.
Yes.
And doesn't know where that's leading. But Bea is not made for it. Although she might see Felicia again. They talked about the Felicia's path leading through darkness and blood and dust and history. So that was part of it. And another part was about Bea needing to find her core that she holds on to.
Okay, that's fine. Yes. They offered guidance, but certainly in a vague manner. And ominous.
They told me that things would change for me soon, but that many would shiver at the perspective. But they seem appreciative of it. They seem to almost approve.
They seem interested in people's journeys, perhaps, or at least the directions they travel.
Did they tell you where you're traveling?
Not exactly.
I'm sorry, you don't have to.
No, it's fine.
I don't mean to pry.
They didn't mention my journey specifically, but I was asking about my sire.
Did you find anything out?
Nothing good, although the Primogen seems, I'm not going to say content. Content is not the right word, but certainly fascinated by the direction she's going in.
Well, I hope she's okay. And I hope you... I'm sorry, Bea. I don't know. If there's anything I can do to help.
Thank you. I appreciate that I can talk to you about it.
Of course. There's not that many of us of our clan here at the moment.
No. The last I saw of Felicia, she was going in the direction of So, I suspect it's a bat stronghold.
She went there.
Yes. And from what the Primogen says, well, I'm worried, although I don't know that she's necessarily in immediate danger, but it doesn't look good to me, certainly.
I'm sorry. Can you find out with the thing they taught you?
I suppose potentially, although the Primogen did warn that sometimes it's safer to go in person than it is to travel outside of one's body. There are those that can apparently trap or catch you while you're outside of your body. Although I suppose that's also true if you show up in person.
Yeah. And she's kind of nodding and clearly taking everything in that you're saying about this ability and thinking. Well, I'm sorry I can't help with that. I have no idea how this works.
That's all right. And thank you. It was certainly something I was considering before the warning.
It may be worth it, but I don't want to encourage you if that's not... Well, nothing is really safe, is it?
No. I'll certainly consider it. I might speak to more people for advice first before jumping into it.
Well, right. I should go check in on Elisa. She just left. I told her I'll join her soon.
Okay. Well, I hope that you both have a pleasant evening. Well,
We'll try.
As pleasant as these evenings are these days.
And I hope you and Felicia will be okay, whatever is happening.
Thank you.
I know she was dear to my sire.
Yes. And with that, I sort of force myself to give a smile again, and I will excuse myself and head into Elysium.
And she smiles at you and she doesn't stop you. She leaves, walks off somewhere. And you step into the Elysium. And how are you feeling? What's on your mind after this conversation?
Unsettled. I now, there's this very strong part of me that wants to find Felicia, wants to search for her. And there's this strong temptation to search for her using this new ability, but I think caution stays my hand. But I do feel like there's just this huge gap in my heart at the moment because my mother is missing. Although the Primogen did seem to suggest that she's where she needs to be, but I'm not sure I like where that is. I think I end up having to pull out my journal to sort of remind myself what it was I was meant to be doing because I've been kind of distracted with my worries about Felicia. So I'm sort of glancing at that as I'm walking into Elysium, and then take a look around the room.
And you step into the Elysium, looking at your journal. Meanwhile, Janina. Why did I mute my mic? I don't know. Janina, you had 0 successes on initiative. So, it is the first round. You see this Nosferatu woman in front of you with this metal rod, ready to smack you with it again. And you hear, coming from a side street, footsteps running and someone shouting, "Now, come on, faster, faster!"
Okay.
And it is the beginning of a round. Do you wish to spend blood on something? You can increase your physical stats. You could use celerity to have extra actions.
Yeah, I will do that.
How much celerity do you have?
3 points.
You can spend up to 3 blood points, and each one is an extra action that you will be able to do.
I will spend 1 for now.
All right, so you will have an extra action. But you are going after this woman who will try to hit you with a metal rod again. Do you use one of your actions to avoid this?
Yeah, definitely.
Then roll your dex. You don't add celerity because you're using it for something different. Your dex and athletics. Difficulty 6.
Okay, 4 successes. 3 8 and 1 7.
4 successes. So yeah, you actually manage to step out of the way again as she's waving it at you. And she gives you a smile and laughs in your face. "You're gonna be a fun one." And it's your go. And you hear the footsteps coming closer. They're not here yet, but they're going to be here the next round.
Okay. I think I will. How far is the hospital?
It's a bit of a run. The question is, do you want to run to the hospital, or do you want to run and lose them and then go to the hospital?
I think that is what I want to do, but I want to go in the direction of the hospital, but I want to run away.
So you want to run away. So you, on your second action, start running. And you put some distance between you and this woman as you are running past the side street to just get away from them. You see 2 people jump out of there. One is a man, maybe about 30 years old. He wears what looks like a remains of a torn Red Army uniform, still having a military cap on his head, and he's waving a pickaxe. And near him is a younger man, quite handsome, with a few days old facial hair on his face, with a typical worker sort of clothing, now slightly muddy. And as you're running past them, that man shouts, get her, don't let her get away." And they are going first, but you are, is the next round. Do you wish to?
Yeah,
Again, use blood for celerity, for extra actions.
Yes.
How many actions would you like?
1.
1. All right. So that will be happening at the end, unless you choose to do something to avoid. So the first thing that's gonna happen is the Nosferatu woman is going to just yank this metal rod at you, trying to hit you.
Okay.
Do you wish to avoid it,
Yes.
or do you just want to take it?
No, I will avoid it. I need all my strength now.
All right. So roll your dex and athletics. And I'm gonna roll her.
2 successes.
Two successes.
10 and 8.
So it does hit you, but just. Roll your stamina, please.
What's the difficulty?
6.
Okay, I have 1 8.
You have 1 success. So it hits you, and it is quite painful. You will take 1 damage from it, but it's not. It doesn't hurt you that much, and you can keep running. The 2 men are just gonna try to chase you. You see that the one in red army uniform is kind of staying behind, and the other one is jumping forward. On your action, are you mostly running away?
Yes.
Then roll your strength, potence, and athletics.
Okay.
Difficulty 6.
Okay, I have 3 successes.
He has 3 successes. He has. All right, so you are actually leaving him behind. He's running after you, but he can't quite catch up. Roll your perception and alertness.
Janina will need a vacation after this. Okay, was the difficulty 6 or something?
Difficulty 6, yeah. Well, no, for this is gonna be 8 actually.
Okay, then I have 1 success.
You have 1 success. So as you're running, you see on the corner of your eye, partially hidden behind some rubble, leaning against it, a Nosferatu with a dislocated jaw, and a dog at his side that is petting, just looking at you and looking at the people chasing you with this disgusted expression. But he doesn't attempt to do anything at the moment.
Okay, I'm just continue running.
You continue running. Do you wish to spend more blood on celerity to increase your chances of getting away from these people?
Yes, I will spend 2.
2. All right, so spending 2. Just roll me your strength, potence, and athletics again. With difficulty 7.
Okay. 6 successes.
6 successes. So with that, having spent blood, you feel your body move with unnatural speed as you're just legging it and into a side street and into another side street. And you hear footsteps behind you, but they are just falling back as you're speeding faster than you thought you could run. You just hear like, fuck, shit, you stupid bitch. And some more swear words, angry shouting mixed in Polish and in Russian. As you are getting away and turn into one street and then another and then another, and you don't see anyone behind you. You stop hearing the steps. You hear some angry shouting in the distance. But you don't think they are chasing you. You think you got away, at least for now.
I still continue running. but maybe not as fast, but I'm not waiting and looking around.
Of course. So you continue running.
I'm not that stupid.
Yeah. Well, I never know with Janina. So you're running towards the hospital, and with that roll you had and having spent blood on celerity, you get there without much issue. And as you get there, you don't see anyone who have followed you. You know you successfully lost them.
Okay, I just calm down once I'm inside the hospital.
You step inside the hospital, you see a woman there at the reception who nods at you, but she doesn't even check your ID anymore. You've been here enough. And how are you feeling following that? What's on your mind?
Well, I think at this moment I'm just happy that and relieved that I got away, but there is a part of me that thought maybe I should have let myself be captured and brought back so I could maybe meet with Nastya, but I tried to shake this thought and just trying to figure out how I will get back to the hotel safely.
And do you head to find Mr. Potocki? Do you head towards your lab?
I think first I'm gonna calm down in the lab for a bit.
So you start heading towards your lab to calm down. Meanwhile, there, you step back into the Elysium. It's kind of empty, not fully so, but more than usual. You see Mihail isn't there. Stefania is sitting in his place, as she was for the last few nights. And she is with Anna Maria, and they are talking in quite relaxed, non-committal manner, discussing from what you can overhear painting and photography. You see a couple of people you've seen but can't quite place. You see Clemens, the Nosferatu hound, is there on his own, observing, maybe waiting for somebody. And you see Joachim with his sister Magdalena are sitting there as well. And Joachim is talking at her, smiling, while she is listening, looking a bit sad.
Okay. I was looking to see if Cornelia was around, but doesn't seem so. I will smile at Joachim, Magdalena, and Clemens as well. But I think I sort of look around the room and not seeing Cornelia, I'll maybe go inquire at reception as to whether she's around or not.
You go to the reception and you find Mariusz, the ghoul who's usually there. And as you inquire about Miss Ostrovska, he thinks for a moment. I don't believe I've seen her tonight, Miss Wozniak, but let me make a call for you and inquire. And he goes to the back of the reception and makes a call. And after a moment, returns. I'm sorry, Miss Wozniak. Unfortunately, she's otherwise preoccupied. I don't think she will be visiting the hotel tonight.
Very well.
I passed the message that you were looking for her.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I'll not take up any more of your time. So have a pleasant evening.
Never an issue, Miss Wozniak.
Thank you. And with a smile, I will head back. And I guess just go and sit in Elysium since I don't have anything else to do in the meantime. Since Janina is not here, and a lot of my other tasks require knowing who I'm reporting to and what they actually want me to do.
So you go sit in the Elysium.
Mm-hmm.
You said you were looking for your journal. That's where you found the information about
Yes.
Cornelia.
Yes, that's
Anything
correct.
else on your mind drawing your attention there?
I mean, my notes about Antonia are slightly drawing my attention, but not necessarily in a productive fashion. But I think I do find myself a little distracted. So I think I'm sort of pondering about how best to spend time with him, given that we're both busy, him especially. So I'm just kind of thinking on that.
And you're thinking on that, and spend some time sitting there, and after a while, Antoni Bielecki steps in. He takes a look around. He is approached by Clemens, who comes up to him almost immediately, and they quietly exchange some words, a greeting maybe, after which Antoni looks towards you, saying something to Clemens. And Clemens just nods his head and steps away.
Okay.
And Antoni starts heading towards you.
Yeah. I think once he sort of walked into the room and I noticed him, my attention was very much taken with him. And there's a sort of soft smile on my face as I see him.
And he smiles at you as well as he approaches. Beatrice.
Antonia.
Kind of looks around. There's this almost sigh. I'm afraid I am coming in an official capacity. The Prince and the Primogen Council would like to speak to you.
Very well. And I'll stand up and follow after him.
He offers you his arm.
I take it. Wait. I should roll. I should roll for that.
Roll for that. Do you think difficulty goes down to 6 or not quite yet?
I think it could. Yes.
The difficulty 6.
3 successes.
Then you can take his arm.
That would be a bit of a bit awkward if it didn't. Yeah. So just place my arms, place my hands sort of on the crook of his elbow. And I think once we've sort of stepped outside of Elysium, sort of lean into him slightly more.
He smiles at you. I don't know all the details, but I know they want to speak to you about your task.
Well, I was trying to make some progress into that this evening and was finding myself blocked in a few ways, so I'm glad I'll be able to make some progress after all.
Yes, I hope you will be glad after the conversation as well. I don't believe it's anything you should worry about. I'm just, I suppose, concerned about various dangers.
I understand. And I squeeze his arm slightly. Will you be staying for it, or will you have other duties to attend to?
I will not be staying, no.
All right.
I'm sure someone will brief me on what was decided.
Of course. Sure, I can always try and tell you myself as well.
I would like to see you later if possible.
I'd appreciate that. I know it's difficult trying to make time, but if you wanted to stay with me during the day, you're more than welcome.
I would like that.
Good.
I believe I'm distracting you. You're supposed to focus on speaking to the Prince and the Primogen.
I'll admit I do find you a little distracting.
terrible thing for the sheriff to be.
I suppose I'll just have to cope.
I'm sure you will.
Give him a warm smile.
And he smiles at you. And it doesn't take long, the walk. He leads you through the service corridors where different kindred have their offices to one of the rooms there. I believe we're here.
Well, thank you for walking me.
Of course.
I will lean in to kiss him.
And he kisses you. And then he kind of looks to the door and looks to you. Now, I believe you should go and report on your task.
Yes.
I'll look for you later. I need to go speak to Clement some more.
Take care.
You do.
And we'll then sort of turn to the door and compose myself a bit more. Get slightly more into a professional capacity. And knock.
And we'll come to that. But meanwhile, Janina, you head towards your lab to put your thoughts together, unwind. You find it pretty much as you left it. Do you examine all the storage areas, everything?
Probably just look for blood samples to take for Zoya.
So you see there is actually more blood. Mr. Potocki must have been working. There are 3 jars of blood there, which would be equivalent to about 6 blood points that you have stored there at the moment.
I will take 2 of them for now, for Zoya.
Do you take any? How much blood do you have right now?
5, I think. 5.
5. So I'm afraid I need to do this because you are somewhat hungry. When you open this and you just want to take some blood for Zoya, but please roll your self-control with difficulty 7 because you're a Brujah.
Well, I have a fail. I had
You
2
have
laughs and 1 success, so
you have a botch.
yeah.
Right. Okay. So so you look at this blood and you want to take 2 jars for Zoya, and you notice that you fixate on this jar. You were just about to pack into your bag, and you can't seem to take your eyes off it and of the red liquid inside, and everything goes red around you, and for a moment everything disappears, overshadowed by desire for Vita and hunger and anger at being denied it. And you come to, eventually, and you can drink 4 out of these. You feel more satisfied as you drank. You feel some pain. Actually, roll me your stamina just to be absolutely sure. It's not going to be difficult, but
7, 9, 6, 8,
5. You're fine. But you feel some pain and you realize there's glass in your mouth. I don't think it hurt you much, but it is uncomfortable.
I will spit it out.
You spit it out and you are kind of kneeling near the storage door. You kind of take in your surroundings. You see there's blood on your face. There's some blood spilled in the shards of glass in front of you. You see that one of the doors to the fridge is just ripped off completely. You see the shelves inside are smashed and ripped off, and there's blood splattered around it. Your clothes are covered, like your shirt is covered in it a bit. You have some splattered on your trousers. You haven't made much of a mess beyond it, but you did you see that some of the material of the fridge and the like space it's standing on is slightly bent. Some of the equipment, nothing valuable, but books, some notes are just pushed to the side, flying around the room. It's a mess.
Okay, I just kneel in the mess for a bit, just head in my hands, and after a moment I get up and I try to at least, I take off my shirt and wipe the blood from the floor.
As you're doing that, you hear footsteps coming along the corridor. Quite quick ones.
Okay, I just wipe my mouth and I just try to quickly came up with some accident story.
So, soon you see a woman, maybe in his late 40s, with her hair pinned up, wearing a medical white coat, come up and kind of take a look inside, not quite opening the door yet, but just looking for the glass. And then, she knocks and starts opening the door. Is everything okay in there? Are you all right?
Yes, I just had an accident. Everything's
What accident?
fine.
Come on. And you see that, hearing that, she's about to come in.
Oh, you don't have to come inside. It's fine. I just made a mess. I dropped some of the vials, and it's okay. You don't have to worry. I'm cleaning it up.
Roll your manipulation and subterfuge. With difficulty 8, if you don't want her to come in to help you, definitely.
Okay.
Do you wish to spend willpower on it?
No, but I probably don't need it because I have 2 9s, 8, and 10.
Right. And she stops, okay, are you sure you don't need any help?
Yes, everything's fine. I know where things are in this hospital. I'm gonna clean it up in a moment. It's fine. I'm just clumsy.
What's your name?
Anna.
Oh yes, right, yes. Dr. Potocki said you were working here.
Yes, I'm just clumsy today.
You sure you don't need any help? I can.
Yes. No, you don't have to, please. I made a mess. I want to clean it up.
All right, but be careful next time. This is valuable stuff.
I know. I feel so.
Right, I need to go. I have stuff to do. And she kind of leaves, and you get the feeling that she's she was concerned, but ultimately she's too busy to investigate further. And she bought that you dropped some blood and made a mess, and decided to let you be and clean it up. And you are there with the mess that you made. Your blood wasted, spilled around.
Yeah, I try to clean it up with my shirt and clean my face. Then I'm gonna look in my lab. If there is there where I could take some lab coat or something, so I didn't walk just in my bra.
Yeah, there would be a place where you can get a lab coat.
Okay, that's what I'm doing. After that, I'm gonna go to visit Mr. Potocki and apologize for messing things up. Aside of my other things that I wanted to talk to him about.
How are you feeling with that really random frenzy when you didn't expect it could happen at all?
I feel guilty because first I wanted the blood for Zoya, and I just feel like I'm wasting Zygmunt's work, and it makes me sad. I feel like I disappointed him, even though I know it wasn't like in my control. I didn't do it on purpose, but still, there's guilt and sadness.
And with that, having cleaned yourself up, you go to find Mr. Potocki. Meanwhile, Bea. You are invited to enter the room as you knock. And as you step inside, you see 5 people sitting around the table. Katarzyna Chodkiewicz, the Prince of Warsaw, is there at the head of the table. And to her right are sitting Wolf, the Nosferatu Primogen, and next to her Isidore. And you see that Wolf is leaning in her chair and just tapping her fingers on the table. She stops as you enter and looks to you with a tired, unclear expression. And you see Isidore is obviously angry, and he doesn't hide it.
Oh, good.
Just sitting there with visible tension in his body and anger on his face. On Katarzyna's left hand is Mihail, dressed elegantly as ever in his black suit. And next to him, Mr. Cernovsky. And Mihail smiles at you as you enter, and Mr. Cernovsky gives you a nod, but his face remains dispassionate.
I bow to all of them as I enter.
And after you've done that, the prince gestures for you to come closer. Miss Woźniak, thank you for coming. Please take a seat.
Yes, my prince. I will do as asked.
And as you sit, she cuts straight to it and says, we wanted to speak to you to learn of the progress on your task. I received your report from Mrs. Ostrowska, and we would like to know what are your plans regarding how you want to proceed with your work and this task.
I would like to spend a point of willpower so I can remember what I've been doing.
Of course.
Important first step. Know what I'm talking about. Okay. This is a brief moment where I focus and allow the memories to flood back in.
And you remember. As you do that, roll me your perception and awareness with difficulty 8.
Okay. Perception and awareness. I have 2 successes.
I believe your specialty would count for that as well. I don't know.
I did not roll any 10s, I'm afraid.
Okay. But 2 successes is enough. So as memories come back and you're thinking on all that is coming back to you, you get a sense of someone peeking in as Mihail is smiling at you, not quite looking at everything, but maintaining this kind of awareness of something around your thoughts.
Okay. I suppose so. The prince has already received a report as to
Yes, what you've done. Yes, and she's asking, what are your plans for next steps?
Okay. I'll basically say to her that I was actually in the process of looking for some guidance regarding the next steps. As I said to Mrs. Strovskin, as I'm sure she's relayed, I believe that the pack would be willing to trust me, but I think only in the instance where the prisoner to be returned to them.
So as you're saying that, the wolf just cuts in and says, "Are you kidding me? You want to release more Sabbat onto our streets?"
I was looking for guidance as to what those with more experience thought was best.
Wolf ignores you and looks
Okay.
to the prince and just says to her quite openly, "You can't possibly do this. You can't tell me you're actually considering this." To which Mr. Cernovsky, not even looking towards you or them, just looking straight ahead, a bit down, says, "Well, I believe we should at least hear Miss Wozniak's thinking. Perhaps there is something to be gained in such a course of action." And Isidore just looks absolutely angry at that and looks to Mr. Cernovsky and then to the prince and then to you briefly and then to the prince again, and then says, "I don't think there's anything to consider. You want to send her to hang out with the Sabbats trying to gain who knows what? We should attack them, not hide behind a neonate."
I think I feel like mildly offended, but only very mildly, and so also a little bit. I feel like he's doing this in my best interest, but there's like a tiny bit of offense.
That's fair. Katarzyna looks to all of them as they're speaking, but then just looks to you.
Okay. I've just been sitting quietly whilst that conversation was occurring.
Yes, Miss Wozniak. Mr. Lubomirski advised me of your suggestion that you could gain Sabbat's trust by releasing the prisoner to them. Do you have a plan for what you hope to accomplish in this manner? What would you like to do afterwards?
And I will then sort of look down at the floor because I think I can see what a logical next step is, but it's pretty terrifying. So I think I do take a moment to sort of consider it before I say it out loud. And I think there's another part of me that thinks on Felicia heading towards the Spat stronghold. Unintentionally, I think it just I'm kind of drawn to that thought. Well, the implications from my time at their ceremony was that they would potentially have a space for me at that point.
Is there something you're not saying that you are considering?
Not necessarily. I don't think so.
All right.
I think like the only thing I'm not saying is talking about Felicia.
Okay.
But my intentions regarding my own task are honest.
Okay.
And yeah.
And you see, as Mihai was watching you again, feel now this feeling of, as you're considering what to say, and as you were thinking on at him, looking at it with you, and then listening to what you say.
And I also think on Insertum's guidance to me of holding on to the core of who you are so that you can't lose yourself. I will then add that due to my own bloodline quirks, I think that I would be decently suited to doing this without being suspected, or at least without being seen through immediately.
Prince looks to you and, yes, but what do you hope to accomplish through that? They would accept you, maybe. What are the next steps? What is your end goal in this?
Being able to provide information back. Being able to get into positions. Move items or people where necessary. Potentially make a strike if necessary. Whilst I'm certainly not capable of taking out anyone of significant importance, disruption can certainly be caused.
Wolf at that just shakes her head. This is a terrible idea. And if, once you're with them, they feed you enough of their blood, do you think you still will be able to report back, get into the positions you need to be in?
I would hope that preventative measures were taken before that.
It looks to you. What exactly do you have in mind, Ms. Wozniak?
Have someone specifically that I answer to?
So you would like someone to guide you through this task?
I think that would be a sensible safety precaution.
Katarzyna nods her head. I agree. What's in your head? How are you feeling as that's going on there?
Kind of afraid, but also ready and willing to do what I need to. I think there's this sort of need to do my duty, at least what I see as my duty, and I'm thinking about the people that I care for and wanting to protect them and wanting to help make the city safer for us. And this is currently the only way I can see myself being able to do that. But I mean, it's still frightening.
Mikhail leans towards Katarzyna and says something very quietly to her.
Can I hear it at all?
Yes, if you use your supernatural talents.
Probably shouldn't do that in front of all of the Primogen. I don't think I'm quite that audacious.
So you don't hear it.
Okie dokie.
Katarzyna nods her head.
And I just kind of sit there sort of taking in the expressions and the vibes, I guess.
Mr. Cernovsky speaks. I would be willing to supervise Miss Wozniak in this endeavor. We successfully worked together before. Wolf just shakes her head. And then says, if we're actually going to do this, I want some guarantees. And she says that to Mr. Cernovsky at this point, not looking at you. If you are going to release him to potentially kill more of our own, I want to know what the plan is beforehand. And not vague possible information at some point, a specific goal, a possible, tangible success in sight. To which Mr. Cernovsky nods his head. I agree. I intend to work towards that with Miss Wozniak. If you agree, my prince. Katarzyna looks to Mikhail, who only smiles and nods his head knowingly, and she acknowledges with a nod. And she looks to Isidore, who just shakes his head but doesn't say anything. And the prince says, I agree. We should work towards eliminating some of our enemies through this avenue. Mr. Cernovsky, you will work with Ms. Wozniak on this and be responsible for carrying out this mission. Ms. Wozniak, do you have any questions? Any further things you'd like to report?
The player, just taking a moment to think on this. I'm trying to think if there's anything more pertinent that I would want to bring up with them. I suppose I will ask them, are there any particular targets or goals in mind at present, or will that be decided at a later date?
I will leave that to you and Mr. Cernovsky to determine what is feasible.
Very well. In which case, At present, I have no further questions.
Then I believe we are all in agreement. And you see Mr. Cernovsky and Michał nod their heads. Wolf shakes her head and then nods her head, and Isidore says, no, I think she agrees because she can't even imagine refusing you. But you're not going to move decisively, are you? And then he just sits there, doesn't say anything more. See, Katarzyna considers him for a moment.
I look I'm sort of looking in his direction with some nervousness.
How are you feeling?
A little unsettled by Mr. Cernovsky being the one holding the reins, I guess. Yes, I've worked with him before, and yes, we've worked well together, and I'm also terrified of him. But that ultimately doesn't matter. My feelings on him don't matter, so I say nothing.
The Prince exchange glances with Isidore, who just looks away at some point.
Okay.
And she says, very well then, Miss Woźniak. You will take Mr. Cernovsky's vita, as you are to work with him. At which Mr. Cernovsky cuts his wrist and extends it to you.
Okay. Let's go get another blood bond, I guess.
You can get a blood point with that, and a set of blood bonds to Mr. Cernovsky.
Woo. So I'm just noting that down. Rating 1. Okay. Lean down to take the blood.
And you drink his vita. With some apprehension, I presume. It's a very matter-of-factly affair.
Yes.
He then quickly rubs his wrist. He puts it away. The prince says, I will leave it to you, Mr. Cernovsky, then to take forward this task. And Mr. Cernovsky looks to you. Yeah, Miss Woźniak, I would like you to take everything you remember on what you learned so far and all your notes on the matter to my child, for him to analyze it as a first step.
Yes, sir. I'll go
Another matter.
Shall I go and write it out in full? Some of them are might not make as much sense.
Whatever you think best,
Yes,
but relay all the information you have to him. Do you believe the prisoner trusts you yet? You haven't been to see him in a while.
I haven't. I will continue working on that tonight.
He takes out the key and hands it to you. You may do this at your convenience.
Thank you,
Work
sir.
on it. Make sure he trusts you.
Of course.
I will find you either later tonight or, well, when the time allows, he says, looking to others at the table to discuss the next steps, having first examined your notes that you hand to Joachim.
Yes, sir.
And then he looks to Prince. I believe that's all for now. I will, of course, see to it. And the Prince nods. Thank you. And thank you, Miss Woźniak.
Of course.
You may go now, but know that I appreciate your initiative and cooperation in this matter.
And I bow once more to everyone in the room, and then take my leave. And I think as I start walking through the corridors, I think that's when the shaking starts. And I
And you
start trembling.
shaking. And how are you feeling as you're trembling, leaving this room?
Like, it's odd. Like, there's this sort of feeling of terror, but I'm kind of distanced from it. I suppose almost feeling like I'm having that out-of-body experience I was having earlier. Me, but slightly to the left, I suppose.
And with that, you start walking away from that room. And I think this is a good moment to take a break. We will be back in about 15 minutes. So please stay with us to see what happens next for Janina and Bea. See you after the break. And welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. And let's continue the story of Bea and Janina. Starting with Janina. As you are approaching the door of Mr. Potocki's office, having dressed in medical white coats after making some mess in your lab.
Okay, I'm gonna knock.
You hear, come in.
And I slowly open the door. I smile. And good evening.
Sorry? So you're just very quiet for a moment.
Oh, sorry. Is it fine now?
Yeah, yes, it's fine.
Maybe I'm just speaking too quietly. I'm gonna get inside, slowly open the door and smile at him.
He looks back from his desk where he has been sitting over some papers, looks towards you and smiles. Oh, Janina, come on in.
And I close the door behind me and sit in the chair against him.
He kind of takes another look at you, and you see him examining your white coat that you haven't really been wearing on any other occasion when you were working here. So he just raises his eyebrows a bit.
I give him a bit of like shy smile. I apologize. I had a bit of an accident when I was in my lab, and
What happened?
Well, I have been ambushed on the way here, and I guess I'm fine. It's just a bruise. But
are you hurt in any way?
No.
Let me see.
No, it's all right. I'm fine.
And he kind of comes up to you as if wanting to examine you. Do you want to pull away, or do you want to let him do this?
I will let him, but I will verbally. I will tell him that I'm fine, but I.
So he looks to you, and he doesn't really pay much attention to the bruise you have from where the rod hit you, but he does actually find the place in your stomach when there's still unhealed wound from Arek's claws. And as he kind of touches it, you wince in pain, and he looks at it as,
this one's old.
how old is it, Janina? This looks... I'm sorry, my understanding is you should be able to heal quite easily.
I know. I've been through a lot, and I didn't really pay much attention to, all of this, and I gesture around my body. This is not from the ambush.
Sit down, Janina. We need to talk.
And I will sit.
And he looks to you. So, You have this old wound you haven't healed. You were ambushed and you were going to tell me some other story about how you ended up in just this white coat.
Yes, let me get to that. So I was ambushed. Hurt a bit, but it's fine. It's just this bruise. It's nothing. And I guess I used a lot of my abilities to get away. And I wanted to calm down by doing some of my research and take some blood for Zoya back to the hotel, but I guess I was a bit stressed and hungry, and the next thing I remember is blood everywhere, and I broke glass and drank most of the blood there. I'm very sorry. I tried to clean everything up.
I understand. I will have someone fix whatever needs fixing.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to waste it like that.
Well, you drank it, didn't you?
Yes, but
Are you still hungry, Janina?
No, I feel okay. I feel fine.
Do you have enough to heal properly?
Yes, probably. I will do that eventually.
And he looks concerned, and he doesn't even hide it. He looks worried. Janina, I don't want to pry in your personal affairs, but you need to take care of yourself.
I know.
You are responsible for Hannah.
Yes.
You offered. And he kind of pauses. You offered to share your Vita with me.
Of course. Do you need one
And
now?
no, not yet.
Okay.
Well, perception and empathy.
What's the difficulty?
6.
Okay, 3 successes.
3 successes. So you do actually see that when you ask, there is this spark of interest and sudden desire, and his eyes dart to your wrist. But then he makes himself control it and say that he doesn't need it yet. And it is important for some reason he doesn't want to yet, although he's beginning to feel this need.
Okay, it's all right. Whenever you need it, I'm here. If you need it right now, just say it.
I'm all right, Janina. What I'm trying to say is that you need to take care of yourself if you're taking on this kind of responsibility.
I know you're right.
You need to heal.
I will.
If you need blood, you can let me know.
I know.
We can provide some.
Well, for now, I would like to get more blood for Zoya, but I drank most of it, so I will have to take the remaining one.
Oh no, all of them are gone. The other
okay.
one was just smashed.
Okay, all right. Well, in that case, I take that back.
4 you drank, but some of it
Okay.
just got smashed and spilled as you were,
all right.
frenzying at it.
Yes, sure. In
Um,
that case, I just say that I need to get blood for Zoe now.
right. Janina, I have 2 more bodies that can have blood extracted from them. I've been meaning to work on them later.
Oh,
We can do that,
yes, I can.
but you need to drink some of it. What will happen if you get ambushed again and you're not prepared and you're lying in some ditch because you didn't heal that wound in time what will happen to Hannah, what will happen to me. Do you say that?
No, but I think that.
You think that. But as you look to him, you think that, but you see that, like, he's concerned for you, but he also, there is this worry in general as he's thinking of himself and his situation.
Yeah, I know why. But if you have time, we can work, or I can work on my own, extracting the blood.
I will help you, of course. Come on.
Thank you. And I follow him.
And he walks with you. Kind of tense, but trying to relax a little bit on the way. And he leads you to the morgue, where he shows you. First the first body, then the second body. The first one is an older man, looking kind of frail. His face very wrinkled, very thin, and you see that he has been missing a leg, but he must have lost this limb long ago. And the second body is of a woman, middle-aged woman, who looks to have been in some sort of accidents. Parts of her body is just crushed, so there are some broken bones. And you can tell that she was probably brought to the hospital very close to death and didn't make it. And you start your work to extract blood from the bodies. And as you're doing that, Mr. Potocki speaks again. Don't take this the wrong way, Janina. I appreciate what you're doing here. I'm just concerned for you.
I know. I understand.
You should give Hannah more of your vitae again soon.
I will. That was my plan too. I just had to go here, make sure you are okay. And I wanted to take the blood for Zoya. I didn't expect to be ambushed.
Mm. He nods his head. Well, I'm glad you got away.
Yeah, me too. Trust me.
How do you feel? What are you thinking as you're working, having had these conversations?
I think part of me is like, what's the right word? Touched by his concern for my well-being. He's very like fatherly, which reminds me of Zygmunt, and it makes me feel touched and cared for. But also I feel like, I don't know, there's this weird dynamic because he's a ghoul and I'm a kindred, and he's more like, I don't know, fatherly and talks to me like, I don't know, like a father would, but I don't know, I feel like it should be other way around.
But it's not.
Yeah, it's not.
And roll your medicine and intelligence. With difficulty 7. You've done this before. It's
okay. 2 10s and 7.
Do you have a specialty in intelligence or medicine?
No.
So 3 successes. So between the two of you, actually, just let me make a quick roll as well here. Yeah, okay. Between the two bodies, you can get 10 blood points. out of them. And you prepare the solution that you developed previously so that it can be stored in the jars. Mr. Potocki at some point looks at the storage where you previously stored blood, sighs, shakes his head.
Children.
Well, I'll sort something out in the meantime, but I believe you wanted to take it and drink the rest of it.
Yes. Yes, of course. And I take the remaining jar and drink it right in front of him.
How much do you want to drink? You have equivalent of 10 blood points. How much do you want
I want
to drink?
to bring majority for Zoya. So I don't know, 2 blood points.
So you want to drink 2 blood points. So you drink basically contents of 1 jar and you get 2 blood points. Mr. Potocki looks to you. Is that enough for you to heal and
How
take
much
care?
do I need to heal the aggravated damage?
So you need 1 to heal the bruise,
Okay.
the metal rods hit, and 5 to heal an aggravated damage.
Fine, I'll do it for him.
So do you...
So I'm back at 5 blood points. Fuck it.
So he looks as your wounds close and you are completely healed.
I will show him my stomach and say, happy?
I am indeed. Are you feeling better?
I feel better, but at the same time I feel hungry. And
have some more.
No, I want to bring that for Zoya. I will hunt.
Janina, if you're hungry, you should have some more now.
Fine. Dad. I will take another 2.
All right, so you drink another 2 blood points. And you have still 3 jars left that you can bring to Zoya.
Okay.
Mr. Potocki looks to you.
Sorry, I just marked down that I have no injuries right now.
Yeah.
Memorable.
You have no injuries right now. You do actually, as you're drinking this Vita and healing, you realize that you feel kind of lighter, like you got accustomed to your stomach hurting as you move, and now it's gone and you forgot how good it can feel when you don't have this open wound on your body.
I probably touch my stomach looking for the wound and it's not there. It's bittersweet. I got
Smiles at you. Better, isn't it?
Definitely better, but I guess in our condition we just sometimes get used to the pain. And
it's not just your condition. I've seen people walking with injuries they should not have been walking with and not visiting doctor because they couldn't or they weren't willing to. It seems to be the human condition, but not the part that I should encourage.
Well, thank you for taking care of my mental health, I guess.
I'm just trying to help you, Nina.
I know, and I placed my hand on his shoulder. I know you are. Zygmunt valued you very much as a friend and as...
You see that he's not, he actually had a good role before, so you see that he's not quite convinced by what you're saying. But he nods his head and just says, I'm glad you think so.
I just know that I feel the same way, and about you, and I want to help you, and you don't have to worry about asking me for my vita. I will give it to you whenever you need. You don't have to do anything. Just ask.
The next time you come back, when you are well fed.
Okay. Noted. I will note it down as well.
And do you leave after that?
I think I will leave because I want to bring the fresh blood, but I think I will also want to visit Hannah.
You wanted to visit Hannah, yes. So you can either go there afterwards or the next night.
I will probably go first to visit Hannah. Because
all right.
Yeah.
So you don't go to look for Zoya. To Hotel Bristol, you go to Hannah. All right.
But I take the blood with me.
Of course. So you leave and start heading to the other side of the Vistula River. Meanwhile, Bea, you have left your meeting with the prince and the Primogen.
Yes. I think I'm heading down to the basement level in search of where Arek is being held. And once I'm outside, I stand at the door and focus on the memory that I had previously, that I felt pity for him, that he was my friend from the interrogation and from my previous interaction with him. Although I think that I don't actually remember it now, it's kind of more the memory of the memory.
All right.
But I stand there and focus on my feelings towards him and my pity until it kind of builds up and builds up. And I let other memories slip. And then I take out the key and let myself inside.
And you step inside into the basement room and you feel the heat coming off that room from the boilers, pipes, the furnace placed in the side room from here. You feel the air is kind of stale, and it's not quite dark. There are a couple of lights, but it's this dimmed sort of light. And you see the table, a metal table, and the form of Arek lying there with a stake through his heart, his limbs still withered, his torso, as you come closer, you see covered with quite thick, coarse fur. His spine is curved slightly forward in this strange, slightly inhuman angle. You see that his teeth on his slightly open mouth are slightly sharper. His fangs are out, but he can't move.
I'd like to mentally connect to him.
That would be your intelligence and subterfuge. Your difficulty is basically don't roll more once than anything else.
Oh God. Oh.
But if you want to read his thoughts, you will need to spend willpower point.
Okay. I will do that then.
You don't need it to speak to him,
no,
but you do to read his mind.
Sorry, what was my difficulty?
Don't roll more ones than successes.
I'm good.
He's not doing well on willpower.
No. Okay. And the other thing I would like to do is roll self-control to see if I can touch him.
Difficulty 7 or 8? What do you think for Arek?
I'm leaning more towards 8.
I am also leaning more towards 8.
He has clawed my guts out previously.
He did that. He's the reason for this whole issue that you have.
Yeah, just like a little bit of a problem. I've got a 8 and a 10.
Then you can make yourself do it.
I think I'm not quite sort of perched on the table, but certainly leaning against the edge of it, and looking down into his face.
And you look into his mind, and before you do anything, as you lean in, you feel this agitation and panic as he wants to look around and examine his surroundings, and he feels some presence, and you feel this anger and this instinct to run or to fight, to rip to shreds and to get away from danger and from pain and from hurt.
And I just very quietly and very gently sort of shush him and brush some of the hair back off of his face.
Do you want to use your power of dementation to shush him?
I think I'm just trying to be gentle with him.
All right, that's fair.
Although that was tempting, but I think I'm actually just
My job is to tempt.
That's fair. Well done, bravo. And just stroke his face and quietly go, I'm not here to hurt you.
So as you're stroking his face, you get this image, the instinct of claws coming out of his hand and ripping at a face. He doesn't quite recognize you. It's just an image of a face leaning over him that he wants to rip to shreds. And then you say it, and you get the image of your face flash in your mind. And just the question, Bea, and you see there's hate there, and fear, and some hope, and some longing, and then disgust, and despair and helplessness.
I just sort of close my eyes briefly. This feeling, just feeling his pain, his fear, and sort of sharing in it. And I continue sort of stroking his face and just kind of murmuring, I'm sorry about all of this. I'm sorry it had to come to this. And then I sort of glance around the room, checking to make sure that there's no one around.
There is no one around. It's just you and Arek and his mind that's frantic. There are moments when he listens to you more, and flashes of your old memories of him dragging you along as you were trying to get away and hide, of him keeping watch, and this feeling of needing to keep everyone safe, and this anger that you all need to hide instead of fighting. And then the memory of pain and torture flashes, and he wants to get away, and you get the images of his whole body spasming and running, but of course he can't move and he can't lash out. But there's no one else with you.
And I lean into him and just whisper, I'm working on getting you out of here.
And you get a spike of hope in return, and the images of people in his pack flashing there and the longing for the fresh air. There's an image of trees and the image of mountains. And then this distrust, this despair, this feeling of just wanting to die.
I think feeling that sensation from him, I think a tear sort of rolls down my cheek. And I just whisper to him, it's going to be okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I need a bit more time, but I'm going to get you out of here. And then I just press my forehead to his.
You do that, and you hear in his mind, Beatrice, like he almost recognizes you, but can't quite believe it, and he feels he must be dreaming or in a nightmare or lost.
I'm here. I'm here. And I just sit with him for some time. Just with his, just touching his face. I think I eventually moved to hold his hand instead.
As you're doing that, roll your charisma and empathy with difficulty. I think at the moment, we've done it a bit before, so let's say 8.
I think I'm going to spend my last point of willpower on this.
Go for it.
I kind of need it to work. I cannot fuck this up. Including the willpower, that is 4 successes.
So as you're sitting there with him, his mind is still frantic. There's thoughts there. They're not all verbal. There's lots of quickly moving images. There's awareness of you, and occasionally he comes down, and then there's an image of wanting to hurt you and of stabbing you, and you feel some guilt there at that. It's some guilt around the thought of you, and then also this anger. But he does become calmer, and he begins to be more aware of you eventually, realizing you're there, and that results in a both certain comfort, him asking himself and you why, and there is this unspoken and almost unacknowledged or pushed away by himself will to apologize too. And then the response to that is anger and hate. And then he quiets down again, and he enjoys your company and finds it soothing, and then shakes himself and remembered how you were there when he was tortured. But you are making some progress. There are just moments of calming and longing for you and wanting to connect with you in between the turbulent, violent, painful emotions.
And eventually I sort of glance up and look around the room and realize I think it's probably been like 20 minutes to half an hour before I finally step away. And I lean in and whisper to him, I'll come back. I'll come
As
back.
you're stepping away, you get this instinct to almost stop you, to ask you not to go. And then this bewilderment at himself and confusion and not knowing what to feel. As you say, you will come back.
And I squeeze his hand one last time and just say, have hope.
And you see that he tries, but it's all mixed with despair. But he hopes. There is this image of the mountains again, and some faces of people in his pack there, and face of a man who would accompany Lady Leocadia. But then there's a face of Mr. Cernovsky, and there's pain, and he almost wants to curl up, and then there's anger again.
With one last sort of lingering squeeze to his hand, I pull away and I let myself out of the room with tears sort of running down my face.
And you step out, crying.
Lean my head back against the door as I take in the air from the less stale room corridor. I start walking back to my room. Not entirely sure what it is that I need to do next, but I know there's something I need to do, and I'll check my notebook when I get back to the room.
And you're heading there. Meanwhile, Janina, you cross Poniatowski Bridge and get to the other side of the Vistula River, where you find your haven. You have the key. Do you call the door, or do you just enter?
I probably knock first and wait.
So you hear from inside a voice saying, just a moment, please. And then steps and clear sound of someone helping, Hannah helping herself with her crutches and moving slowly to open the door. And then she does. And she looks at you and she smiles instinctively, seeing you. Hey, Janina, come on in, please. I'm sorry, I don't walk very well.
Yes, I came because I wanted to ask how things went with Mr. Potocki. He speaks so nicely of you.
She kind of closes the door behind you, and can we go sit?
Yes, of course, and I help her.
And you help her get to the living room and sit there on the couch. And she kind of looks very apologetic at that. I'm sorry, I just find it difficult to stand for a long time still.
Yes, well, that's another thing I want to talk to you about.
Well, Mr. Potocki, he was very helpful. I think I understand a bit more now. It is all very scary, but
I know, and I extend my hand and wait for her if she's gonna take my hand.
She takes she does actually instinctively take your hand. He said that you can help me heal.
Yes.
That you should be doing that. And that I should remind you. And you see this guilt on her face as she says that. And she's almost, I'm sorry if I shouldn't have said that. I'm really sorry.
No, you can always be honest with me and talk to me about anything. We're friends, and I care about you. I smile at her, and with my other hand, I stroke her hair. I want to heal you, and that's why I came. But I want you to want it. Do you want it right now?
Well, I would like to be better. I need to rely on the neighbor. And, well, Mr. Potocki, I want to help you with your project. I think it could be good.
Well,
And he said that there's classes I could take to learn to read, that there's many classes like that for people in the city
Of
right
course.
now. But I can't go there like this. I would never get there.
calm down, Hannah. I'll help you. And I extend my wrist and cut it and offer it to her. This will heal you.
And you see her eyes fixate on your blood that begins to gather on your wrist. And she looks kind of scared and uncertain. But you
She doesn't have to
see
be
in
there.
her eyes that she wants it, and there's this feeling in her that desires it, even though she finds it all weird and scary. Is that okay?
Yes, of course. I want you to get better, and I can make it happen. So please.
Okay. And she kind of leans forward towards your wrist and starts drinking. And you see her lose herself in it a bit as she drinks.
I'll let her for a bit.
Do you give her a blood point, I presume?
Yes, I want to give her enough so she.
A blood point is like
Yeah.
yeah. So subtract 1, please, from your blood pool.
So I just.
And Hannah finishes the drink, and she pulls away when you signal for her to, and looks kind of, thank you.
So I hope it helps. Do you feel better?
I don't know. I feel calmer, I suppose. Mr. Potocki said it will help. She said that I will need to do this regularly. Is that true?
Yes, but don't worry about it. You don't have to worry. I will take care of you, and whenever you need it, I'll give it to you. I want you to be well and have a good life.
Thank you, Janina. Thank you for everything you've done for me.
I'm glad I met you. And once again, I'm sorry I had to lie when we met. But
And you see that there's some tears in her eyes.
For your benefit.
It's okay.
And I embrace her and let her cry.
She doesn't quite break down, but she is crying a bit. And I'm sorry, it's just been so much. I
know. It's
I think I understand now, but is there anything I can do for you?
Well, for now, just recover. Enjoy yourself, and once you feel okay, you can help me at the hospital.
I will.
We will find you the reading courses. Everything's gonna be fine. You're safe.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you for letting me stay here. And
of course,
I've never thought I would have a flat like this. I'm sorry. I know it's yours.
No.
I can't believe
you're part of my family now. Don't worry about it. It's as much as yours as it's mine. You're always welcome here, and when you will feel ready, I'll take you to the hotel where I'm staying.
All right.
Please
That's
take
where
your
the
time.
others are. The others like you.
Yes.
Well,
but also others like you.
Well, if they're like you, then I'm sure it's gonna be okay.
I smile at that, but I have to take a mental note that I have to first make her acquainted with the people that are a bit like me.
Well, whenever you feel I Can I contact you in some way?
Yes, of course. And I give her a phone. I will write the phone number on a piece of paper and put it next to the phone.
And that's a phone number for the reception of Hotel
Yes.
Bristol, I presume.
Yes, not myself.
Yeah.
From the future.
No. Well, it's a big assumption that Janina survives that long. Sorry.
Well, I think you're right.
She might. But it's decades to come. For now, you give her number for reception at Hotel Bristol. And she just nods. All right, then. I'm sorry, I'm not very
No, please just
good at
enjoy.
this.
We can just spend. I will probably spend like an hour or so with her, just sitting chatting, nothing, just usual stuff. Nothing like.
What's usual stuff for conversation with a person you recently rescued and made into a ghoul?
I don't know, probably I'm asking about her, her life and her past, some small talk like that to get to know her more.
So she tells you that she grew up in the countryside and she wasn't from a, her family had a farm.
And I probably also tell her about myself.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
So she's impressed that you grew up just working in lots of these restaurants, cleaning dishes, but you managed to learn all these things. She's definitely in awe when you tell her that, looking in admiration. And she hopes that she can
at least
learn
finally admires
to help you. All it took was a blood bond. But she also tells you that, she grew up in the countryside. Life was kind of hard there always. She never had went to school or anything because she just needed to take care of her siblings and work in the farm. And then during the war, it was pretty awful. There were German soldiers who ransacked the place, so moved into their house, took it over. She was really scared. It's pretty tense time. She doesn't go into details, but you can see that it is pretty traumatic for her. And then she came to the city hoping to make some money to send back to her family. And because her father died during the war, and to just keep them going, and she was working basically as a servant to some Soviet dignitaries, and she doesn't really want to talk much about it either. She just kind of shakes at that and says that they were pretty horrible people. And you feel that she had a pretty hard life so far. And when she says things that she can't believe she would live in such a place, that it really would be something. Even the city, even in ruins, was out of her reach for a long time, and now she has a flat to herself or sharing it just with few other people, and that already seems she tells you she shared a room with 2 other servants at the residence where she was working and all of that. So you learn about her past. And she trusts you and tells you quite a lot.
I trust her as well, and I tell her about my life, my childhood, how I lost my mother, how she was sick, how I, during the war, how I started to help in the hospitals and stuff like that. And I also tell her about what happened that led me to become kindred. And I tell her about Daniel. And
she's really impressed also by your bravery, helping Daniel and standing up to the Nazis. You see and you know that it is, that part of it is definitely blood, but you also see that you are someone from a completely different world to her, someone much braver, someone who managed to teach herself quite a lot.
Sorry, I was bitten.
I'm sorry you got attacked. And you have this conversation and spend some time together. Is there anything else you want to discuss with her, or do you just share life stories?
Yes, just bonding. My ghoul and I.
Yeah. How do you feel seeing this admiration that is at least in part blood, but also this feeling?
I don't know. I feel conflicted because I still am glad that I can help her and that I have a friend, but I know it's not like all genuine, but it still feels nice. And especially now since I lost Nastya, I find comfort in her company.
And you spend some time together.
And I know that she won't betray me.
Does Janina actually have that thought?
Maybe tiny bit. Maybe it like crosses her mind, because maybe not in this like context, but like
because she was hurt by Nastya.
Yes.
Yes, I can see that absolutely. And do you eventually leave?
Yes, I will eventually. Yes, I will leave, and I will probably try to hunt on my way back.
All right. So you get ready to leave to hunt on the way back. Meanwhile, Bea, you left Arek and the basement room where he is being held behind you. And where are you headed? Are you headed back to your room?
Yes.
You get there uninterrupted. You are on your own. Is that your room that you shared with Felicia?
Yes.
Yes.
I let myself in, and closing the door, I go and open my journal, and I think my hands are shaking so badly I kind of drop it. And there's bits of paper with the red strings that I've used to connect it all sort of spread around the floor. It's not gone too far. The strings are holding it in place, but I'm just sort of staring at it, splayed open, with its insides spread out. It feels a little bit like trying to read the omen from the corpse of a bird or something like that. But eventually I pick it up, put it back together, and then look at what I'm meant to be doing. And as I see that my interactions with Arik are for the task, there's a little bit of self-disgust. But there's also a sense of responsibility.
Of course.
And I'm so tired mentally. But I know that I need to write. I now know that I need to write down or get my notes together for Joachim. And so I get paper out and I write more full notes that read better to someone that isn't me. I'm writing neatly but quickly, so it's nothing fancy, but it's legible. And I just go back to the start of my notes from my tasks and just work on that in silence. My hand occasionally shaking. I have to stop occasionally and stretch my hand out. There's probably some more words scored out than would normally be. Yeah.
You are working on that. Is there anything that you don't put in the notes?
I think
are you putting everything in there?
I'm not focusing on anything emotional.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And do I include the bit about my husband?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a moment of hesitation before writing it, but I think that I ultimately do.
All right, then.
Just because ultimately I don't necessarily want Mr. Sarnowski to know about it, but I also don't want it to become a problem later down the line if he doesn't. So begrudgingly, I write it.
Of course. And you focus on writing your notes. It takes you some time, but eventually you think you have it finished.
Okay.
All the information so far.
Do I have time to head back to Elysium and see if
Yes, absolutely.
In which case I will do that.
So you start heading towards the Elysium. Janina, you are trying to hunt on the way back. You're doing it the second time this night. So roll your wits and alertness with difficulty 8.
Oh, I will, but my place laying on the sheet. Wits and alertness?
Wits and alertness.
Okay, what is the difficulty?
8.
Okay, then I have 1 success.
One success is enough. So it takes you some time. You've first tried wandering a bit around this side of Vistula River, but it was pretty empty. There weren't really people on their own here. So you cross Poniatowski Bridge, and you don't quite head towards the hotel, but you wander around the center of a city, and eventually you see a horse-drawn carriage slowly moving through the streets, and the driver is hunched forward wearing a coat, and there is someone in the open carriage also clearly shaking with cold. It is an adult man. You can't quite tell more from how he's wrapped up with a hat on his head, but the carriage stops and he pays and thanks the driver and steps out, and then the driver starts at a quicker pace moving away, and the man starts walking into another side street, and you can catch up with him if you want to feed.
I will sneak up on him.
Then roll your dex, celerity, and stealth with difficulty 6.
And no penalties for once.
Yeah.
Oh, I have no successes. I had 2 successes and 2 ones.
So you start sneaking up on him and you want to come up to him, and he clearly, you know, there's quite a lot of snow. You slip a bit, it makes a sound under your feet, and he looks towards you. He doesn't seem necessarily concerned as such, seeing a young woman walking along the street, but he has noticed you and is kind of looking as if to check if you're okay. Are you about to fall down?
I give him a smile and I'm sorry, I'm so clumsy.
Roll your charisma and subterfuge. Difficulty 6.
Uh, 3 successes, 7, 9, and 10.
Right. So he just says, "Be careful, miss." And you see that he's maybe 40-something years old. And then he smiles at you and turns back and starts walking.
Okay, I will give him a moment and then I will try again. But this time I'm trying to be more swift.
Do you try to sneak up, or do you try to just grab him?
I will try to like walk behind him like normally, just a bit faster, and then like try to grab him quickly.
In case you roll horribly badly, roll your strength, potent, and grow.
Okay.
I mean, I don't anticipate you failing this, but
Okay, I didn't. Not 1-1, so and five successes.
no problem. You grab him, and before
Second
he can
time,
realize what's
second the
happening,
charm.
you bite in. How much blood do you have at the moment?
I think 6. Yes, 6.
Out of
12, I think.
12. In that case,
No.
I will need you to roll self-control. Do you wish to spend willpower? Difficulty will be 8.
No, I'm living on the edge.
All right. Are you sure Janina
Yes.
would not be doing that? Okay, then. I'm not gonna insist.
It's fine. 7 and 8. But 8 is
8.
the yeah.
8
so it's
is
fine.
difficulty.
I have 1 success. I'm fine.
So there is a moment when you feel a temptation to drink more, but you control yourself. And how much do you take?
2.
2. And having fed,
Now
you leave the man there, I presume.
Yes, I just try to prop him against the wall and leave.
And
I
you
leave for the hotel, but I'm trying to be very careful and to look around.
don't roll your perception and alertness.
What is the difficulty?
Difficulty 8.
Okay, then 2 successes. I had 2 8s.
2 successes, and you start walking, and you're pretty sure you don't see anyone. And you get safely to the hotel.
Yay! Let's not say tell Bear about what happened.
And you are back. Meanwhile, speaking of Bear,
Speaking of Bell.
Joachim is still at the Elysium. You see that Magdalena is now gone, and he is now in conversation with Nina, the toreador. It doesn't look like a very serious conversation. They are smiling at each other, laughing. As you come closer, you also realize you don't understand what they're talking about. They are speaking a different language. You can roll your intelligence and academics or streetwise.
I have streetwise, so I'll roll that.
Difficulty 7.
Two successes.
So it does sound familiar, and you don't understand, but you realize they are speaking Yiddish as Jewish communities you don't remember living next to, but you remember this being a thing would speak in Warsaw.
Okay. I don't think I'm. I don't.
No, it's not to do something with. It's just
I just acknowledge that mentally. And sort of hover.
As you come up, they stop. Nina smiles at you. Bea, a pleasure, she says, back in Polish. And Joachim smiles at you as well. Good evening, Beatrice.
Good evening. I have a delivery for you, as requested by Mr. Swanovsky.
Yes, my sire did mention that you would find me.
Yes. And I just hand him the notes. I think they're folded up so that no one can necessarily just like instantly read it. But
he looks to Nina and looks to you. Takes a note. Should we also talk for a moment, or
that
is
would
there
probably
something
be sensible? But
he looks to Nina, and you must excuse me. Then I'm afraid duty calls. And she just smiles. Of course, I know how serious you are about that. She says, glancing to both of you. with a smile.
I smile back at her.
And Joachim gestures for you to lead the way.
Okay, I'll find some sort of like office back room, I guess, if there's somewhere we can
You
go
can
to.
find somewhere you can go to, yeah.
Okay.
And he opens, the note you gave.
Mhm.
He starts looking at them, just taking a glance.
Mhm.
Right, well, Marcel didn't really get into details, just told me he will give me some information and knows that I'm to analyze everything and be prepared to draw information and conclusions from it.
Yes,
I take it you are to work together.
that's correct. Yes. These are all my notes from my interactions with the Sabbat. And I'll roughly explain without getting into too much detail, so the nature of the... Wow, all words have failed me there. Wonderful.
Of the task, you mean?
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
He listens, and he listens very carefully. You see that he's very serious as he listens to that. Well, I can see this is going to be quite a challenge, I suppose. I'm sure we will work out the way to do this. Is there anything in addition I should know?
I think I've written everything down that I've had recorded. If there's anything in there that doesn't make total sense, just give me a shout.
I'm sure Mir, my sire, will ask.
Of course.
And with that, and he kind of covers it, puts it away. Mm-hmm. How are you feeling about this?
I mean, frightened, but I think I'd be stupid if I weren't.
You would be, well, exceptionally brave, some might call it. But I think your assessment is more correct.
But it's necessary, so it needs done.
Maybe at some point in my life I would disagree, but who am I kidding? I know how things are. Do you feel up for this?
I need to be.
No, but do you think you are? These are different things.
True enough. Yes.
I'm glad to hear that. Lack of confidence can be a downfall of very skilled people.
And I said yes. I'm not entirely sure if I believe it. I don't disbelieve it, but...
Well, in that case, roll your self-control and subterfuge.
Ooh. What's my difficulty here?
6. The contested roll.
4 successes.
Then it says roll off.
Oh! Oh, snap.
Yeah.
That might have been a good roll, were it not for the ones. Okay. Is that a 1 or a 7? 1 or a 7? Oh, that is rough. After so many ones, I have 1 success.
All right, then. In that case, he says what he said about confidence, and then he takes another look at you.
I smile.
You shouldn't doubt yourself.
I don't know if it's so much myself that I doubt, or that I don't underestimate those that I'll be around, should this go to plan.
Well, Given my experience with trying to survive in this city, you probably do. But that's okay. Just be prepared to adapt and improvise when needed.
Indeed. It'll be fine. Well.
Optimistic sentiment. But hey, it will be fine.
It will be fine.
The city will be back to normal.
We'll laugh about it later.
Whatever that is.
I honestly couldn't tell you. I don't remember.
I remember a great many things, and nothing that I could describe as normal state of affairs, at least for the world two of us live in.
Well then, I should let you get back to your evening.
I was just having very non-committal conversation with Nina.
And then I came along and threw more work at you.
It's good to be sociable sometimes.
Indeed.
Speaking of, I've heard you holding arm of the sheriff. I've seen you, of course.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. It is.
Well, I won't keep you from other socializing then.
Thank you very much. And I gesture to the notes and just say a bit sardonically, enjoy.
I'm sure they will be an interesting read.
And with that, I will take my leave.
You leave and you walk back with him to the Elysium at first. You see him return to Nina and they exchange some words in Yiddish again, after which they say goodbye and he waves slightly and walks off. And where are you heading? Are you staying? Are you...
I'm going back to my room. I think I'm needing a bit of privacy.
So you head back towards your room. Janina. You get back to Hotel Bristol. And where are you headed?
To Zoya's room.
All
I want
right.
to bring her the bed.
So you get to Zoya's room. You head straight there, you know the way. And as you are arriving in the corridor, you see the door to her room opens. And you see Mr. Cernovsky stepping out.
Does he see me?
Yes, he does.
Okay, in that case, I give him a nod and slight smile.
He gives you a nod. Good evening, Miss Shivak.
Good evening, Mr. Cernovsky.
And he keeps walking. He doesn't seem willing to or inclined to have a conversation.
Okay, in that case, I just knock on the door, even if it's like partially open. I still
he closed it
Okay.
behind him.
Okay.
And you hear this angry voice of Zoya. Yes, what now?
It's me, Janina. I'm bringing
Oh.
you blood.
Come on in.
And I open the door.
And you see Zoya, she's sitting on her bed and she's been clutching at the bed frame that is slightly cracked. And now she lets go of it. And she looks to you. You see, she looks better. There are still some like signs of this cracks on her skin, but they don't seem to be reappearing and getting worse. But from her posture, the way she's sitting, you can tell that she's still in a bit of pain. And And she says, come on in. I thought you were this Tremere coming back.
Is he helping you?
Certainly seems to think he or his clan can.
Okay. I start to open my bag and take out the blood jars.
Thank you.
You're welcome. How are you feeling?
Like crap. I
Well-
don't think I'm getting worse. I don't think I'm getting better.
Okay. Well, at least you're not getting worse.
She kind of looks to the blood. Can you pass me one of these?
Yes, and I give it to her.
She opens it and just downs it. Thank you. I needed that.
Of course. I hope in a few days I will have more.
I hope I'll be able to go and take care of it on my own soon.
I'm sure you will.
Sorry, something in my throat. She looks to you. How are things, well, up there and with you and what the fuck's going on? I know Isidore is no Primogen.
Yeah, that happened.
Good. Maybe he'll tell them some truths that they need to hear.
I'm sure he'll try.
It's not good, really. It's fucking messed up. We're getting absorbed one by one.
Yeah, well, you're the next one for a job when you get better. And I just giggle.
She takes like a moment and then she like understands what she said and she just laughs this bitter, almost hysterical laughter. That will be the day.
Yeah, next time we'll look and you're the prince of Camarilla.
And she said, well, if that day comes, kill me.
Okay, deal. Let's smile.
And she
Have
kind
you
of
been able? No, sorry.
no, she
I
just
would.
you start talking, so
Yeah.
continue.
Okay. Have you been able to speak with our Primogen recently?
Yes, he told me he was Primogen. He had a rant about the prince grabbing more power. He had a rant about no one listening to him. I told him he shouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Well, I
It's
hope.
fucked up, you know. I think I don't want any of us to be involved in any of this shit. And then I know that if we're here, it's better that he's doing it, but for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I guess. Maybe it will be an experience for him.
Certainly an experience.
What you are up to here? Spending your days doing what? Now
I was making some dynamite. And she kind of gestures to the corner, which she does have set up some like containers for chemicals on a small workshop on the floor, you know, in case we go after the fucker who killed Zygmunt.
Sure. You've been up to girly stuff.
Always.
And I just like look at all her explosives playthings.
Do you know how to do that?
No. Definitely no. but
You interested?
yeah, I think it could be useful skill.
I can show you sometime.
Yay! When you're feeling even better.
Oh, you know.
I will write it in my diary. Explosives, learning explosive 101 with Zoya.
You're fucking weird. But you're not so bad.
You're not bad either. All right, I think I'm gonna leave you to your dolls.
She kind of laughs, not knowing what to make of all your weird analogies. Utterly confused, but not as hostile as she used to be towards you.
Yay, small win.
And you leave her there.
I can't wait for us to bond. So tearing our arms apart during a mistake. But I'm not saying that. It's just me, Dolores.
It's just you, Dolores. What is Janina thinking?
I think she is enjoying seeing Zoya a bit more, I don't know, relaxed and friendly towards.
She's more friendly towards you, certainly.
And I'm glad that she seems to be doing at least a bit better. And I feel a bit proud that I'm helping her also, even if it's just with the blood.
And what do you think about her offer to teach you to make explosives?
I think Bea wouldn't approve, but I think it could be a good skill to have, especially for a Brujah. I have to be a stereotype, you know.
Do you think that, or do you think it would be useful for something specific?
I don't think it. I just think it could be useful, for the future, and especially if I wouldn't be around Zoya or anyone else who can do that, so I could do that instead.
Makes
in
sense.
Case of emergency.
And where are you?
It's about heaven.
Yeah. And where are you headed?
I think I'm gonna head to my room because I'm still avoiding Belle. Well, I'm not gonna avoid her if she comes to my room but I'm not going to Elysium to see if she's there or to check her room.
So you hide from her a bit.
Yeah.
And you head towards your room. Meanwhile, Bea, you also head into your room.
Yeah.
What are you doing there?
I'm writing up my notes from the evening. What was discussed. I think I already wrote down some of my tasks between my meeting and going to see Arik, just so that I wouldn't completely forget it, but it's more writing it down in full. I'm just exhausted. So I think I'm kind of curled up on the bed with my journal in my lap, making my notes, my head sort of resting on one hand. Occasionally slightly zoning out, as just back to feeling completely wiped out.
And you don't know how much time passes. But eventually there is a knocking on the door.
And I just go and answer it.
And you hear Antoni's voice. Bea? Are you in there?
Yes, sorry, just a moment. And I just kind of not quite toss, but a little bit toss the journal. It probably sprays out with all the pages onto the bed, and move a little bit faster than I normally would to go answer the door.
And you see Antoni Bielecki, the sheriff, and your partner now standing there. Do you want to hide how exhausted you are mentally?
A little bit. I'd first like to roll to see if I can touch him.
All right.
Okay?
Yes, absolutely. That's difficulty 6 then.
Okay. After the ones, I have 1 success, so I'm just about managing it.
But you're managing.
I think I don't want to worry him initially, so I think I do just automatically try and hide some of the feelings from him.
Oh, your self-control and subterfuge.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. Mm-hmm. Nope. After all the ones, that is 0 successes. Oh my god.
So you come up to him and you try to pull yourself together, and he looks immediately worried as you come up to him, open the door. And he was smiling, but now his face becomes more serious, and he says, can I come in? What happened?
Yes, sorry. Just work.
He closes the door, looks to you. Did something?
I reach forward, take his hand, and then I think I just lean forward and just rest my head on his arm. I had the meeting with the Primogen and the prince. They asked for my assessment on what I thought was doable with my current task, and I gave my assessment. And I'm due to be working more closely with Mr. Stanovsky in the coming nights.
Of all the people.
I think the shaking starts back up again.
He hugs you and just holds you close.
I wrap my arms around his waist and just cling to him.
Whose idea was it?
And I'm quiet for a moment. It was mine.
You wanted to work with him?
No, it was his suggestion to work together, but the plan was mine.
No, I know you want to do your task. It just... I see something's wrong. Do you need me to speak to the prince?
I wouldn't ask you to use your position like that.
I will if you need me to.
And I pull back and look at his face and stroke his cheek. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. He just unsettles me as all. I'm sorry.
He's what he is, and for what it's worth, I think for the most part he can be trusted to act in the interest of the Camarilla.
Yes.
We will make sure that people know that we are together, and in that way he might think twice before putting you in excessive risk.
I put my hand on his cheek. Thank you for being here.
Just tell me what I can do.
You could kiss me.
He smiles and kisses you and pulls you closer.
And I cling to him. And I feel some sort of form of relief with being close to him. Although that sort of creeping anxiety is still in the back of my mind, but I think I just kiss him a little bit more desperately.
And you kiss for a long time, and he doesn't really move much further than that without a signal from you, but he does hug you very tight.
I think I will sort of pull him back to sit on the bed.
And he sits there with you.
Eventually I pull back and tuck my head under his chin and just rest there. Thank you.
Do you want me to stay with you?
Please. Please.
I will, of course.
I squeeze his hand.
I'll do what I can to help you be safe.
Thank you. And then I sort of look into his face, stroke his cheek, and just take in his appearance and try to let go of the stress and focus on him being here and relax a little bit. And eventually I can give him a more genuine smile.
And he smiles back at you and stays with you for the remaining, not very long time of the night. Is there anything specific you want to talk about? Otherwise, he will just be there with you, pretty quiet but present.
I don't think I necessarily want to talk right now. But I will kiss him again.
And he kisses you, and you spend some time like that. And I imagine eventually you fall asleep together on a bed.
Yes.
Would you let him hug you as you fall asleep?
I think I can't quite bring myself to pull away from him.
In that case, you fall asleep in his arms. Meanwhile, Janina, you get to your room. You don't run into Bear. It's quite late. You don't have that much time left.
I just lay on the bed and just try to relax and think about everything that happened, about my accident. But that's fine because I fixed it and I brought blood for Zoya anyway. So, and I healed, and I think about Mr. Potocki and what he said to me, that I have to care more about my body and that I have responsibility for him and for Hannah. I think about Hannah and everything that she told me about herself. And of course, I think about Nastya, but I try to push her thoughts away and replace them with more like people that are still around me right now. Bea, Daniel, Hannah, Mr. Potocki, and my friends.
Dominic, I imagine.
Yes, I Just I'm too tired to think of all the
That's
kindred that
fair.
I care about.
But there are people you care about. But
Yes.
thought of Nastya is still somewhere there, I imagine.
It is there, but I'm just too exhausted to think about her and to think about the future, what might happen if I find her or not.
Do you think of what
Yes.
Lucian Topolsky told you?
Yes. Of course. That's why I try to push it away, because I don't want to get caught up in, I don't know, hoping for now. And there's like a worry about what if she doesn't love me anymore.
And with the head full of those thoughts, exhausted, you also fall asleep.
Yeah,
And I think that's a good time to end as
nice.
the night
Thank you.
ends. Thank you so much, and thank you to everyone who's been watching.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you being here with us to continue this story. We will be back, hopefully, if nothing goes wrong, in 2 weeks on the 19th of December, which obviously will be last episode before Christmas. We hope to see you again with us here on the Lamias channel at 6 p.m. GMT. And until then, keep well and good night.
Bye.
Take care.